with a WWE legend talking about retirement and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Revealing the original plans for her late father, Jim Neidhart, to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as an individual, Natalya said this to Chris Van Vliet. "Bret Hart made my dad. He helped my dad so much. When I look at it, Bret always says, you know, Jim helped me come out of my shell and Jim helped me find my personality. But when my dad and Bret were going into the Hall of Fame, it's funny because I was very adamant. At one point it was approached, I was basically presented with the idea of my dad going in by himself, and I said I want my dad and Bret in there together as the Hart Foundation, because that was my dad's favorite time in his career. That's when he had the most fun. That's when he was the most alive. That's when he just did his best work, and Bret just looked out for him so much, and they were just so close and such a well-oiled machine." And so as much as like in that moment Vince McMahon was like, we can put your dad in by himself, I was like, I want my dad and Bret together. I want them together because my dad would have wanted that. So that was really cool to be able to do that for my dad. I know he would have been so excited to be part of the Hall of Fame. Speaking of Natalya, a young fan at ringside grabbed her and even touched her breast on Raw, as this drew many reactions online. Fans wrote, "Bro took his chance. Bro trying to cop a handful. That boy after he did it. I'm positive the same thing happened to Natty before, right?" Explaining why play-by-play commentator Michael Cole was absent from Raw last night, Sean Ross Sapp Fightful noted that Michael Cole had requested time off for a previous obligation a while back, WWE sources tell us. Discussing the creative control that he has on NXT, Baron Corbin told Sean Ross Sapp Fightful that, "I think that's something I've always had as well. They put me in the ring with Kurt Angle. They put me with Cena. They put me in with The Rock because they trust what I can do. They know whatever I do, it's going to be 110%. So the free agent status, same thing. I was like, what is this? What does this mean? Am I out of a job? What are we doing?" They were like, "No, we just don't know what story we want to put you in yet, so we don't want to pigeonhole you and have you on Raw or SmackDown." That was kind of the way it was originally told to me. We want you to be able to float, because when we figure it out, because that character was coming off of the JBL stuff, it wasn't working obviously, so it was like, okay, well, what are we doing? It kind of came up at draft time and they did that. So then I was asked, hey, would you be interested in going to NXT and working? I said absolutely. It's an hour and a half up the road from me. I'll be able to go do the show, go home, and get my bed. So when they presented it to me, I just saw it as an opportunity. I didn't know what the opportunity was, but when I went down there, Shawn Michaels is going, "Hey, what do you want this to be?" I go, "Well, here's what I would love to do. I would love to not be on Raw or SmackDown," because I was also working at Cameron Grimes at the time on SmackDown, so I was doing NXT and SmackDown. I said, I would love to just be here, and let's redo my character. Let me tell you what I think I am. He's like, "I love that. Let's do you. You have full control essentially on what you want to do," and they keep me in parameters, obviously, but they're letting me just kind of reinvent myself as me, and I think we're presenting a really cool thing to the fans in NXT. After defeating Dylan Dennis in a boxing match, Logan Paul would call out Rey Mysterio, with Ringside News adding, "It was not in WWE's original plan for Crown Jewel to have Logan Paul on the show. That being said, it appears that plans have changed." Ringside News reached out to a tenured member of the creative team and were told that it looks like we're moving it up to Saudi Arabia, but won't know till later this week. It appears that Logan Paul will be going to Saudi Arabia after all. With Tenille Dashwood, formerly known as Emma, being released from WWE, she would take to X to ask this: what would you like to see me do next? Comment below, I'll be reading them all. Touching on the idea of there being a war between WWE and AEW, Mark Henry said on Booker T's Hall of Fame podcast, there is no war. You know what the war is? The war is the ratings in your segment. Do people turn the channel to another channel when you're on? When Sexual Chocolate was on, or the World's Strongest Man or Hall of Pain, they didn't turn the channel, and you could turn. You could put me with some of the best. When Booker T was King Booker, they didn't turn the channel, so that's where the war is. The war is in the segments and the individuals. But if I'm in WWE, I don't want to be on the same night as AEW because I want all the attention. If I'm AEW, I'm not going to move my show to a show that WWE is on unless I'm preempted. That's the point of AEW on a Tuesday, because we had to. It's not like, oh, we're going to go piss in their cornflakes. That's not what we did. Can I say piss on here? Sorry, boys, but I'm telling you, man, it's not a war. A lot of the reason things happen is because programming notes with the networks. That's the only way you should be in the conversation about going on the same night. You got 7 days a week. After he and Jey Uso lost the undisputed tag team belts on Raw, Cody Rhodes apologized to fans in attendance. Here are the clips.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, but at least, did you guys have a good time tonight?
Staying on the topic of the undisputed tag titles, Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day emerged victorious as Priest took to X to post a photo of the faction writing, "2-time undisputed. This calls for some libations." During a Q&A segment on Wrestling Observer Radio, a return to WWE from Bo Dallas was brought up. As Dave Meltzer replied, "I think he's done. I mean, the only reason he was even being used was a favor to Bray Wyatt. So I mean, it's possible they'll use him, but I don't expect him to be back." Steve Carrier of Ringside News added, "There is a report going around that Bo Dallas is done with WWE via Dave Meltzer. We are looking into this. The last we heard, Triple H wasn't turning down ideas for the Uncle Howdy character." Reviewing the promo between Adam Copeland and Ricky Starks on AEW Collision, where Copeland called Ricky a vanilla midget version of The Rock, Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, "If Adam is being positioned as that veteran babyface, which he should be because he is, that makes me feel a little bit differently about the promo. That to me is not the promo that a babyface, a legend, a veteran, someone who's clearly much older, that's not the promo that I would cut. If you've inherited that perception, you've built that perception with the audience, and they recognize you as this legendary performer, I think it took away from Adam Copeland as that legacy babyface." At a recent signing, Mercedes Mone, who is now with New Japan, was asked about her departure from WWE, as this led to a bit of a confrontation. Here's the video.
How's New Japan Wrestling treating you? I know that you had left WWE because of the creative issues. So
is that the reason?
That's what I read.
Oh, that's what you read. You weren't there. So no.
So what's the real reason?
Why would I tell you? Why would I just tell you?
I want to know.
You ain't gonna see my interview. You ain't gonna read my book. You ain't gonna see me in the future.
I do all of that. Yeah.
All right, then just wait. Our next friend, but you are. Then you just wait.
I got you.
Okay, cool. Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you. Keep on reading your fiction books, okay? What are we signing?
Listen to her. Don't listen to yourself. Thank you very
Making a special announcement on X, Impact Wrestling wrote breaking: Will Ospreay will face Eddie Edwards at Turning Point at the Walker Dome in Newcastle on October 27th as a part of the UK Invasion Tour, airing November 3rd on Impact Plus. Asked when he would like to retire from professional wrestling, Rey Mysterio told the MMA Hour, "I'm hoping that it can be within the next year and a half or two, maybe." And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.